Prime Minister Loong has warned that financial markets could be heading into uncharted waters should the US default on its debt. The US will reach its debt ceiling limit on October 17th if no agreement is reached. Mr. Lee was speaking to reporters at the tail end of his visit to Bali, Indonesia for the APEC Leaders meeting.
The fiscal deadlock in the U.S. continues, even as lawmakers seek a short-term solution to raise the country's borrowing limit. With the government shutdown now into its second week, there's growing concern that the U.S. will not be able to agree on the debt ceiling, which will hit the $16.7 trillion limit on 17 October. Beyond that, the U.S. will have problems paying their bills. Speaking to the Singapore media, Prime Minister Lee said there's no telling what the impact of a default will be, as this would be a first for the U.S. if it happens.
If you lend to the U.S. government, you buy U.S. Treasury bills or U.S. government securities, that is, by definition, what is the almost risk-free solution. And if that fundamental element is shaken, even the U.S. government can default. I don't know what will happen to your spreads or the rest of the complicated system of financial markets. So you are going into uncharted waters, and if you don't need to make such an experiment, I don't think you should do that.
The budget impasse has caused U.S. President Barack Obama to cancel his multi-nation trip to Asia, including the APEC Leaders meeting in Bali and the ASEAN summit in Brunei. And Mr. Lee was also asked about the impact of Mr. Obama's absence on trade talks such as the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
So policy-wise, the substance is there, and the work will continue. But of course, it's disappointing that the president himself is not present. And it is different when the president says something than when the secretary says something. The aura and the weight is something special.
As to whether domestic politics will increasingly affect the U.S. presence in Asia-Pacific, military-wise, Mr. Lee said the U.S. will keep their armed forces going with a resolution to maintain armed forces spending. But the concern is whether the U.S. can sustain, fund and support their intentions to deepen engagement with Asia. Hsien, Channel News Asia in Bali, Indonesia.